You trudge through the shadowy entrance of the underworld, the air thick with an otherworldly chill that prickles your skin. Welcome to Hades, a realm not of eternal torment, but one punctuated by the mundane tasks of its inhabitants. Now, before you start picturing grandiose scenes filled with fearsome creatures and tragic heroes, let's yank back the curtain a bit. The glamorous illusion of the underworld is that it's a place of excitement, mystery, and rich narratives. However, the shocking reality is often far more boring and repetitive than you might expect. You probably won't survive this journey, but hey, at least you'll get the scoop on what really goes on down here. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Imagine the cool, damp walls of the realm as you settle in, perhaps picturing the flickering shadows that dance along the edges of your vision. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. As you stroll deeper into this underworld, you might imagine a grand, bustling hub of activity akin to a metropolis, but instead, you find a surprisingly structured routine. The primary role of an underworld guide, like you, is to lead newly arrived souls through the labyrinthine corridors of the afterlife. Your day consists of what could only be described as the most tedious tour service imaginable. Souls arrive in various states of confusion and despair, and you're the one who has to explain the rules of the land, the paperwork for their eternal residence, and where they can find a seat if they're lucky among the drabness of the Asphodel Meadows. Behind the scenes, the underworld operates like a poorly managed office, with each soul shuffled into their appropriate waiting areas. You might expect a sense of grandeur to be present, but it's more like guiding a bunch of lost tourists through a dreary museum that lacks any real exhibits. The glamorous illusion is that you'll be ushering heroes and historical figures into the afterlife, but the shocking reality is that most of your time is spent dealing with ordinary folks who have no idea how they ended up here. You learn to recognize the look of bewilderment often mixed with sheer boredom as the souls shuffle along. Imagine having to repeat the same information day in and day out, explaining the concept of the river Styx and its rather unromantic ferry service. You navigate through the realm, pointing out the various areas, the fields of punishment, the Elysian fields, and the inevitable waiting room that is the Asphodel Meadows. With each step, you can feel the weight of their stories, but you also sense their impatience. The why behind this mundane reality lies in the ancient belief systems of the Greeks, who viewed the afterlife as just another extension of life, a continuation of the same dull routine, only now with fewer obligations and even less excitement. As you guide these bewildered souls, you realize that this lack of thrill actually makes the underworld a place of comfort for some. After all, they've escaped the troubles of the living world, and now they face a less demanding, albeit repetitious, existence. The notion of a grand afterlife full of adventure is merely a construct, and you can't help but chuckle at the irony of it all. Yeah, you might not find the mythical boons or the grand narratives, but there's a certain charm in the monotony of it. With a sigh, you usher them toward their first stop, the waiting rooms. Here, the souls mingle, sharing stories that feel both familiar and profoundly ordinary. You listen to their lives, stories of work, family, and the same gripes that plagued them in life. It's an uncanny reflection of the world above. The only difference is that there's no coffee break and no chance to leave. This, my dear friend, is what awaits every soul. A return to the humdrum, a circle of eternal sameness. As you reflect on your duties, you can't help but feel a pang of sympathy for these new arrivals. They come with expectations, visions of grandeur, and instead find themselves receiving pamphlets and waiting for their turn to meet the judges of the dead. The reality of the underworld is a sobering one. It's about managing the flow of lost souls and their mundane struggles rather than basking in the thrill of divine power or cosmic retribution. With the hum of conversation surrounding you, you realize that your role as an underworld guide is not just about directing traffic. It's about providing a semblance of understanding in a place that often feels chaotic, even when it's largely predictable. You're there to help them come to terms with their new reality, to find a place in this bland, monochromatic existence. So, as you lead them deeper into the underworld, you begin to understand how embracing the ordinary can reveal its own form of beauty. The stories may be repetitive, but they weave together a tapestry of existence that stretches across time. With that thought, you prepare to take your new group to their next destination, knowing that each soul has its own tales to tell, however mundane they may seem. The air grows heavier as you guide the newly arrived souls deeper into the underworld, past the shadowy echoes of their former lives. You're about to embark on the surreal journey that every soul must undertake, a trek to Hades that is veiled in myth but riddled with the ordinary. The glamorous illusion is that this journey is a heroic passage, filled with divine encounters and cosmic significance. However, the shocking reality is that it often feels more like a long trek through a bureaucratic nightmare, complete with waiting lines and endless paperwork. As you lead your group, the path becomes less ethereal and more pedestrian, almost as if you're walking through a dismal office building. The souls around you shuffle their feet, some glancing nervously at the vast expanse before them. You can't help but chuckle softly to yourself. You know they're expecting grand fanfare, maybe a celestial guide adorned in gold. Instead, they get you, a friendly but slightly weary underworld guide, armed with a clipboard and an unyielding sense of duty. The first stop is the river Styx, a boundary between the world of the living and the world of the dead. You gather the souls around, gesturing vaguely at the murky water that flows sluggishly past you. The glamorous image of a sparkling river, glistening under the light of the afterlife, shatters as you explain the reality. The Styx isn't clean, nor is it particularly inviting. It's muddy, tepid, and filled with things that no one would want to touch. You often hear new arrivals gasp at the thought of crossing the river, which they've imagined to be a serene glide under a starry sky. But the truth is far less picturesque. Charon, the grumpy ferryman, can be as indifferent as he is gruff. Souls might have to wait an eternity just to board his dingy little boat, all while he grumbles about his job like a disgruntled employee counting down the minutes to the end of his shift. Your job is to keep spirits high, but many find it hard when faced with the mundane reality of their surroundings. Explaining Charon's fees is always a highlight. You watch his eyes widen in horror when you mention the coin that must be placed under the tongue of the newly departed. No coin, no crossing, you remind them, adding a delicate touch of sarcasm. Think of it as a toll for a ride on the world's least exciting ferry service. The souls murmur among themselves and that dull ache of disappointment settles in. They were hoping for a journey of epic proportions, not a dreary boat ride across a dim river. As the souls board the ferry, you take a moment to observe Charon. He's not the fearsome figure of legend, but more of an exhausted worker putting in his time. His 3-day-old stubble and the bags under his eyes speak volumes. You can almost feel a sense of camaraderie with him. After all, everyone has their own version of a 9-to-5 job, even in the afterlife. It's a reminder that life for afterlife, in this case, can be a grind regardless of where you are. The ferry ride is a slow affair, not at all the thrilling adventure they'd envisioned. Instead, it's a long, drawn-out drift punctuated by the occasional sigh from Charon and the restless shuffling of souls trying to make sense of their new reality. Some gaze longingly at the shores, hoping to catch a glimpse of their past lives, while others stare vacantly into the murky waters, their minds racing to process what lies ahead. As you reach the other side, a realization dawns on the group. This journey is less about the destination and more about the translation from one existence to another. The underworld isn't a thrilling realm filled with grand tales. It's a series of transitions, each marked by an almost bureaucratic efficiency. You can't help but feel a twinge of empathy for these souls, who thought they'd be stepping into a realm of myth and magic only to find themselves navigating the same mundane routines they once did in life. In this surreal space, every interaction echoes with the weight of the ordinary. The paperwork and procedures may seem pointless, but they're necessary to maintain order in an otherwise chaotic existence. The why behind this reality is rooted in the ancient Greek belief that the afterlife was a direct reflection of the life one led. Those who lived a good life might hope for a better fate, while others face the consequences of their actions in life. Yet even in this cosmic game of justice, the daily grind continues. As you guide the souls onward, you can almost hear the undercurrent of their thoughts. Is this it? They seem to ask. Is this what we waited for all our lives? You sense the hesitation in the air, the tension that comes from confronting this unexpected. The journey to Hades, once thought to be filled with excitement, proves to be a procession of realization, where the beauty lies not in the grandeur but in the acceptance of the ordinary. You approach the next stage of their journey, a place where their individual stories will begin to unfold in ways they never expected. With every step, you remind them that even in the most mundane of circumstances, there's a narrative waiting to be discovered. It may not be the grand saga they had hoped for, but in the quiet corners of the underworld, the ordinary can sometimes be the most profound. As your group moves forward, you can see the flickers of understanding in their eyes. They're beginning to grasp that while the underworld may lack the luster of mythical tales, it offers a unique chance to reflect on their lives and make peace with their choices. And with that, you prepare to usher them into the next chapter of their eternal journey, knowing that every step, no matter how dull, is still a step toward closure and understanding. As you lead the souls away from the sluggish river Styx, you can feel the anticipation in the air. They've just survived their first hurdle, and now they are bracing for the next phase of their afterlife journey. What awaits them is Karen, the ferryman, who isn't nearly as glamorous as legends depict. The glamorous illusion is that Charon is a majestic figure, a guardian of the threshold between the worlds. However, the shocking reality is that he has become something of a grumpy civil servant, overworked, underappreciated, and often more interested in collecting his dues than in ferrying souls with flair. As you walk alongside your group, you can't help but chuckle at the contrast between the vibrant stories spun around Charon and the truth of his daily grind. The mythological tales paint him as a stern figure with a commanding presence, yet in reality, he's a tired old man who looks like he's just come off a long shift at a boring job. His boat, a rickety vessel that squeaks and creaks with every movement, embodies the mundane nature of his role. You remind the souls that they are lucky to have even crossed the river, considering how many souls could be left waiting for an eternity. The next stop on your tour is the Asphodel Meadows, a place that stands as a testament to the ordinary existence of the majority of souls. The glamorous image of lush fields filled with golden flowers is shattered upon arrival. Instead of vibrant landscapes, they are greeted by an expanse of dull, greyish grass stretching endlessly into the horizon, with only occasional patches of wilted flowers peeking through. It reflects a realm where most souls find themselves trapped in a monotonous limbo, existing without the thrill of punishment or the bliss of reward. As you guide them through the meadows, you can hear the sighs of your companions. Is this really it? They ponder, their hopes deflated. You reassure them, explaining that the Asphodel Meadows serve as a holding area for those who lived ordinary lives, filled with neither great virtue nor vice. It's a demilitarized zone of the afterlife where nothing particularly exciting happens, but where they can reflect on their time on Earth. Here, souls engage in repetitive tasks, sometimes tending to the meadows, sometimes gathering in groups to exchange tales of their past lives, but always under the same grey sky. The why behind this setting links back to the Greek worldview. The afterlife was a continuation of the earthly life, merely stripped of its physical pleasures and pains. The majority of souls, who lived without heroic deeds or dire misdeeds, end up here, in a state of eternal neutrality. It's a sobering realization that for many, the highlight of their afterlife will be reminiscing about mundane moments, perhaps a favorite meal or a cherished walk in the park while stuck in a dreary landscape. While some souls stand in clusters, sharing stories and trying to make the best of their situation, others wander aimlessly, lost in thought. You can't help but feel a touch of compassion for them. You recognize that this limbo is not just a waiting room, but a space for reflection, a chance to reconcile with their unresolved desires and the lives they left behind. The repetitive nature of their existence may be dull, but it offers a peculiar comfort. The familiar rhythm of their past lives resounds in the echoes of the meadows. As you walk among the souls, you share anecdotes of others who have found solace in their time in Asphodel. You remind them of the soul who found joy in crafting flowers from the grass, creating art from the mundane. The souls listen with a mix of skepticism and intrigue, pondering the possibility of finding meaning in their own lives even here. You can see a flicker of hope in their eyes, a realization that perhaps embracing their ordinary existence can lead to unexpected growth. As you traverse the meadows, this atmosphere shifts from one of disappointment to muted acceptance. You find that the more you share, the more they open up about their own lives. They recount memories of comforting routines, a cup of coffee at dawn, laughter with friends, and the satisfaction of a job well done. It's in these ordinary moments that they find pieces of their identities, and you watch as they begin to understand the power of their stories. Just as you feel a sense of connection forming, you catch sight of a figure in the distance. It's a soul standing alone beneath the dim light of a dying sun, gazing wistfully at the horizon. You approach, inviting them to join the group and share their story. With a hesitant smile, they recount their life, filled with small joys that once seemed inconsequential, planting seeds in the garden, watching the seasons change, and the warmth of a loved one's embrace. The soul's words resonate through the group, fueling a newfound sense of camaraderie and collective understanding. In that moment, the Asphodel Meadows transform from a bland holding ground to a tapestry of shared experiences. Souls begin to interact, exchanging stories, laughter, and even some tears. You realize that while the surroundings may be dull, the stories they carry within are vibrant and lively. It becomes clear that even in an uninspiring realm, the ordinary can weave itself into something extraordinary when shared with others. As you lead them onward, you can sense the shift in energy. The souls are no longer resigned to their fate. They're beginning to explore the beauty of their existence even in the dullness of the underworld. This revelation opens up a world of possibilities, a reminder that what seems mundane can become something worth celebrating. With this new perspective, you prepare to move on and guide them further into the depths of Hades, where more of their stories will unfold. Each step brings them closer to understanding that the afterlife, much like life itself, is not simply about the dramatic moments, but also the simple, quiet joys that often go unnoticed. As you continue onward through the Asphodel Meadows, the low murmur of conversations fills the air, transforming the once bleak expanse into a vibrant tapestry of shared stories. You can feel the souls around you growing more comfortable in their surroundings, buoyed by the realization that they are not alone in their experiences. But the journey doesn't end here. The next phase leads your group to one of the most dreaded aspects of the underworld fields of punishment. The glamorous illusion surrounding these fields is that they are a place of intense suffering and dramatic consequences, where the wicked are met with their just deserts. The shocking reality, however, is that the punishments are often dull and repetitive, more akin to a monotonous chore than the grand spectacles of retribution that myths portray. You can already sense a wave of apprehension ripple through these souls as they approach the boundary of these fields, whispering about the tales they've heard of eternal fire and ceaseless torment. As you guide them closer, the landscape shifts dramatically. Gone are the grey, undulating meadows, replaced by an expanse that is strikingly bleak. The ground is parched and cracked, sprinkled with the remnants of what used to be vibrant life. It feels heavy here, almost suffocating. You can hear the faint sounds of souls lamenting their fates, long past the point of exciting narratives and deep into the monotony of their punishments. You pause to explain the nature of the fields. The punishments do not involve fiery pits or mythic beasts, but rather a never-ending cycle of menial tasks that reflect the soul's transgressions in life. Here, one might be condemned to push a boulder uphill only to have it roll back down each time they near the summit. Another may find themselves perpetually cleaning a never-ending pile of dirt, only to realize that it resets every time they turn their back. The why behind this seemingly endless cycle lies within the ancient Greek understanding of justice and morality. The gods constructed an afterlife that mirrored the earthly existence, imposing a sort of cosmic balance. Those who lived lives of wanton excess or chose to harm others often confronted the absurdity of their situations, learning too late that there is no escape from the consequences of their actions. Yet, even in their punishment, the cycle can feel less like a divine judgment and more like a tedious routine to endure. As you lead the souls further into the fields, you can't help but notice their expressions shifting from fear to a sort of grim acceptance. They begin to understand that while the punishments are frustratingly dull, they hold a mirror to the choices they made while alive. There's a striking irony in the realization that their suffering isn't dramatic but rather painfully repetitive, much like some of the banalities they faced in their previous lives. In this moment of reflection, you encourage them to view their punishments as opportunities for growth. You share stories of souls who, despite their grim fates, found ways to reclaim their narratives. One soul, who was punished for greed, discovered a way to teach others about the value of humility through their endless task. They would share wisdom with fellow punished souls, turning their suffering into a form of camaraderie. The group listens intently, taking in the possibilities that lie within their circumstances. It's a chance for them to reframe their understanding of punishment not as an endpoint, but as a moment of reckoning. Slowly, the fear dissipates, and you see sparks of determination flickering in their eyes. The tales of perseverance are met with quiet nods as they begin to internalize that even in the abyss of punishment, there is room for personal growth and transformation. As you navigate through the fields, you approach a particular soul who stands apart from the others. They are locked in a repetitive loop, swinging a heavy mallet at a stubborn rock that refuses to break. You step forward, offering a word of encouragement, only to be met with a weary glance. "What's the point?" They sigh, a heavy sadness lingering in their voice. You gently remind them that the lesson isn't just about the rock but about the strength they can find within themselves. "Every swing is an opportunity," you say softly, "to break free from this cycle, to learn patience and perhaps even to find joy in the rhythm of the task." As you speak, you notice the glimmer of hope beginning to flicker in their eyes. It's a reminder that at the heart of punishment lies a journey of self-discovery, even if it's wrapped in frustrating monotony. You encourage the group to engage with the souls around them, to share their insights, and you watch as they begin to gather. They exchange stories of hope and resilience, lifting one another's spirits in this unlikely place of torment. Gradually, the atmosphere in the fields of punishment transforms. Where once there was an air of despair, now there's a sense of community, a recognition that even in the depths of the underworld they can forge connections, learn from one another, and find solace in shared experiences. The repetitive nature of their punishments becomes less of a fruitless endeavor and more of a collective journey. As you prepare to guide the group onward, you feel a sense of pride for these souls. They've begun to embrace the ordinary, finding strength in their struggles and learning to navigate the absurdity of their circumstances. You remind them that every step they take is a part of their story, one that doesn't end with punishment but continues to evolve. With that, you lead them toward the next chapter of their afterlife, knowing that while the path may remain filled with challenges, they now possess the tools to confront those challenges with resilience and hope. With the souls in your care now carrying a newfound sense of camaraderie, you gently guide them away from the fields of punishment. The air shifts around you as you approach the next significant stage in their journey, the realm of the three judges of the dead. The glamorous illusion surrounding these figures is that they are regal arbiters who deliver just, grand sentences of fate to every soul that passes their way. However, the shocking reality is that they often resemble bureaucrats trapped in a tedious cycle of paperwork and procedural obligations, far removed from the epic judgment scenes that myths promise. As you and your group walk toward the grand tribunal, you can't help but feel a twinge of excitement mixed with trepidation. The judges Manos, Rhadamanthus, and Akin are often depicted as imposing figures, but in reality, you know they spend most of their time sifting through records and reviewing reports of each soul's earthly life. You can hear the murmurs of anticipation and anxiety from the souls behind you. Many are uncertain of what awaits them in this judgment hall. Upon entering, what greets you is not an ornate throne room but a dimly lit chamber that feels less like a court of justice and more like a cramped office space. The judges sit behind cluttered desks, their faces displaying the wariness of gods who've seen it all but are still tasked with sorting through the minutiae of mortal lives. You can't help but suppress a laugh at the absurdity of it all, the grand tales of divine judgment reduced to paperwork filled with forms, checklists, and endless scribbles of soul assessments. You explain to the souls that the judges do not merely hold dramatic hearings, instead, they sift through the mundane records of each life. Minos, the head judge, is known for his decisiveness, but often finds himself bogged down with administrative duties. Rhadamanthus tends to focus on the moral aspects of each soul's life, while Akin stands as the one who checks for discrepancies in the records. Each judge has their own routine, and their tasks can feel laborious and monotonous. "Welcome to the office of the afterlife," you say with a wry smile. "Don't let the imposing names fool you, this place is all about the paperwork." The souls chuckle nervously, still unsure whether to find humor in their situation. They shuffle into the waiting area, where the atmosphere is thick with anticipation and a hint of dread. You encourage them to take a moment to reflect on their own lives before they face the judges. Remember, this isn't just about judgment, it's about understanding. The judges are here to help you see the full scope of your existence, both the highs and the lows. As the souls prepare themselves, you can sense the mix of emotions swirling within them, a cocktail of fear, regret, and perhaps even a glimmer of hope. With your guidance, each soul takes their turn before the judges. Those who step up often find themselves recounting their lives in a way that is far from the glamorous or tragic tales they once believed defined them. The judges listen attentively, often leaning forward with interest as the souls begin to unveil the ordinary moments that truly mattered to them. A simple act of kindness, a mundane struggle, or a cherished memory can hold more weight in the eyes of the judges than grandiose achievements. As you watch the interactions unfold, the shocking reality of the judges' roles becomes clear. They're not there to mete out punishment, but rather to facilitate a form of understanding. Each judgment serves not just as a reflection of a soul's deeds, but also as a chance for the individual to confront their choices and grow from them. It's a journey of self-discovery rather than a final verdict of doom. You overhear Minos, with a surprisingly gentle tone, offering advice to a soul who had once been consumed by jealousy. "You let envy shape your actions," he explains, "but remember, it also taught you the value of gratitude. Embrace that lesson." In this moment, the judge becomes a mentor rather than a jailer, guiding the soul toward a path of reflection and growth. As each soul leaves the tribunal, you can see the weight lifting from their shoulders. They realize that judgment, while daunting, is not the end, but a necessary part of understanding their life's narrative. They've discovered that even in their mundane choices, there exists a path to redemption and personal growth. After the last soul finishes their encounter with the judges, You gather everyone together to reflect on their experiences. They share their thoughts, each one revealing newfound insights about their lives and exploring the nuances of their mistakes. Conversations spark between them, filled with understanding and empathy, as they begin to recognize that they all share a common thread of humanity. As you prepare to lead them to the next part of their journey, you can't help but feel a sense of pride in the growth you witnessed. Through their encounters with the judges, they've begun to embrace the ordinary, realizing that life's meaning often resides in the small, seemingly insignificant moments that form the fabric of their existence. With steely resolve, you lead them onward, ready to explore the next realm of the underworld. You can feel the air shifting with promise as the souls move forward. They carry with them a deeper understanding of who they are, transformed by the mundane realities that shaped their lives and now guide their paths in the afterlife. As you guide the souls away from the tribunal of the three judges, a palpable sense of camaraderie and understanding lingers in the air. The stark reality of their judgment experiences seems to have infused them with a renewed sense of purpose, and you can't help but feel a warm glow of satisfaction as you lead them deeper into the underworld. The next destination on this winding journey is a place often whispered about with a mix of fear and morbid curiosity, fields of punishment. The glamorous illusion surrounding these fields is that they are realms of spectacular anguish, where the most wicked are subjected to terrifying tortures by monstrous beasts. However, the shocking reality is that the punishments are often monotonous, repetitive tasks that mirror the flaws of the souls who end up there, a kind of cosmic irony that forces them to confront their sins in the most mundane ways possible. As you approach the fields, the once vibrant atmosphere shifts, and a heavy, oppressive silence blankets the area. The landscape feels barren, almost desolate, with ashen ground cracked and parched under a sun that rarely shines. Here, the air is tinged with the scent of despair, and the distant echoes of lamentation serve as a reminder of the weight of the sins that led these souls to this place. "Welcome to the fields of punishment," you announce, your voice echoing slightly in the stillness. The souls behind you shudder, their nerves palpable. They've heard tales of terrifying torments, and now they stand on the precipice of a reality that's far less glamorous than they imagined. You can almost hear their hearts racing as they anticipate the horrors that await. As you lead them further in, you come across a group of souls toiling away at seemingly pointless tasks. One soul is endlessly filling a well with water, only to have it dry up the moment it is full. Another is doomed to push a heavy stone uphill, only for it to roll back down each time they near the top. It's a surreal scene, both absurd and tragic, as they're caught in a grim cycle of futile effort. You point to the first soul, whose frustration is palpable. You see, the punishment isn't about physical pain but rather the psychological toll of endless repetition, you explain. These tasks reflect their flaws, compelling them to confront the choices that got them here. The souls around you watch intently, processing the reality that their punishments are not as fearsome as they had envisioned, but rather a reflection of their own mistakes. Many of the punished souls initially react with disdain, grumbling about their situation and expressing disbelief that this is their fate. You encourage them to engage with the experience, to consider what their punishments reveal about their lives. You gently remind them, this is not just suffering, it's an opportunity for learning and growth. The absurdity of it all can lead to insight. You point to a soul who has been pushing that heavy stone. "Meet Sisyphus," you say, invoking the name that has become synonymous with futile effort. He's been pushing for what feels like eternity, yet within this cycle lies a profound lesson about perseverance and acceptance. Rather than despair, he has the chance to find meaning in the struggle. The souls around you exchange glances and you see some of the fear dissipating as they begin to understand the depth of their circumstances. And our punishments really teach us something? One soul asks, their voice quivering slightly. You nod with conviction, reinforcing that even in hardship, there's room for reflection and growth. As you move through the fields, you witness interactions that warm your heart. One soul, who once led a life of excess and greed, finds themselves in a cycle of continuously counting grains of sand. Rather than wallow in despair, they start to share their story with others, recounting the emptiness of their former life and the realization that true wealth comes from connection and compassion. This new perspective resonates with those around them, who begin to share their own stories, leading to a burgeoning sense of community. You also notice a soul who is relentlessly trying to sweep an endless pathway clean, only to be met with more debris every time they finish. They've adopted a mantra, repeating to themselves, "This too shall pass," a phrase that echoes in the emptiness of the fields. You watch, as other souls gather around, inspired by their determination to find purpose in the chaos. Gradually, the fields transform from a place of sheer punishment into a platform for personal growth. The souls begin to seek out the lessons within their mundane tasks, understanding that their experiences are not just about suffering but about transformation. They start to learn from one another, sharing stories of redemption and resilience, turning their collective pain into a source of strength. As you guide them along, you reflect on the underlying message that unfolds in these fields, acceptance of one's choices and the understanding that every experience, no matter how tedious, contains the potential for growth. The mundane acts of punishment illustrate the very essence of their lives, where the ordinary can lead to extraordinary revelations. With newfound resolve, your group prepares to leave the fields of punishment behind, ready to embrace the next chapter of their journey through the Underworld. You can feel their spirits rising, buoyed by the connections they've formed and the insights they've gained. They've come to understand that even in the bleakest of circumstances, they have the power to choose how they respond and what they learn. As you move forward, you feel the air shift once more, hinting at the transformative experiences that await them. Each step brings them closer to understanding the profound beauty of the ordinary, and your heart swells with pride as they walk into the next phase of their eternal journey, ready to embrace whatever comes next. As you lead the souls out of the fields of punishment, a palpable sense of hope begins to fill the air. They've journeyed through the drudgery of their consequences and emerged with insights that have transformed their perspectives on existence. The next stop on your guided tour of the Underworld is none other than the realm of Persephone, the enigmatic queen of the Underworld. The glamorous illusion surrounding her is that she is a majestic figure, shrouded in mystery and beauty, presiding over a kingdom filled with splendor and grace. However, the shocking reality is that her life in the Underworld is often filled with mundane responsibilities and a repetitive cycle that belies her illustrious image. As you approach Persephone's domain, you notice the somber atmosphere enveloping the area. The landscape is not the vibrant paradise that many imagine, but rather a series of dark gardens filled with wilting flowers and shadowy paths. The beauty of the Underworld has a melancholic quality, reminiscent of a once thriving kingdom that now seems to be stuck in a loop of decline. When you arrive, you can see Persephone tending to her garden, her delicate fingers working through the soil as she tries to coax life from the lifeless earth. "Welcome to Persephone's garden," you say, gesturing toward the somber scene. But don't be fooled by her reputation. Even a queen has her daily chores. The souls chuckle nervously, still coming to terms with the contrast between the mythic tales of her abduction and her current reality. You explain that Persephone's role in the Underworld is not just to rule, but also to nurture the land and its inhabitants. Her eternal cycle is one of growth and decay, mirroring the seasons of life above, and like her, we often find ourselves caught in routines that may feel repetitive or mundane, you add, watching as the souls begin to grasp the deeper significance of her existence. As you draw nearer, Persephone looks up from her work, her expression a mix of wariness and warmth. She greets the souls, her voice soft but resonant. "I see you have made the journey through the Underworld. Each of you carries stories that have shaped you both in life and now in death." There's something profoundly comforting about her presence, and the souls seem to gravitate toward her, drawn by the sincerity in her words. You watch as she shares with them this reality of her life. "Each day, I tend to this garden, nurturing it even as it struggles. It's a labor of love, but it can be quite dull at times. I find myself longing for the vibrancy of spring, yet here I am, caught in the cycle of winter," she shares, her tone thoughtful. The souls nod knowingly, recognizing that even a figure of such mythic stature can feel trapped in the mundanity of existence. You encourage the souls to ask her questions, and they eagerly gather around, curious about her life in the Underworld. One brave soul speaks up. "What do you do when you feel trapped in the routine?" Persephone pauses for a moment, her gaze thoughtful. "I remind myself that even in repetition, there is beauty. Every seed I plant has the potential to bloom, even if it takes time. I've learned that patience is a virtue, and sometimes the most ordinary tasks can lead to extraordinary outcomes." Her words resonate deeply with the group, and you can feel their tension easing as they take in her wisdom. They begin to share their own experiences, moments when they felt stuck in cycles, whether in life or now in death. It becomes a cathartic exchange, as Persephone listens intently, nodding in understanding and offering gentle encouragement. You realize that this moment is a pivotal turning point for the souls. They're beginning to understand that life, much like Persephone's existence, is often a series of cycles full of ordinary tasks that can seem tiresome but also hold the potential for growth and transformation. The repetitive nature of their experiences in the Underworld mirrors their lives, and with that realization comes a sense of empowerment. As the conversation flows, Persephone shares stories of her own struggles with feeling confined to the Underworld, emphasizing the importance of finding joy in the little things, the way a blossom breaks through the soil or the gentle rustling of leaves in the breeze. Even here, in the depths of the earth, there is a rhythm, a quiet beauty that often goes unnoticed, she explains, her voice filled with a serene grace. You watch as the souls begin to find inspiration, recognizing that the mundane does not have to be devoid of meaning. Their interactions with Persephone reveal that even in the darkest moments, there exists a lighter chance to cultivate growth from the seeds of their experiences. As the sun begins to set over the dark gardens, casting long shadows across the ground, you sense a shift in the atmosphere. The weight of despair and confusion lifts, replaced by a sense of clarity and purpose. Persephone smiles softly, encouraging them to embrace the ordinary moments of their existence, urging them to seek the beauty that lies within the routine. With a final wave, you bid farewell to the queen of the underworld, her presence lingering in the air like the scent of blooming flowers. As you lead the souls away from her garden, you can feel the collective energy shifting. They've begun to understand that their experiences, both in life and death, are intertwined, teaching them valuable lessons about resilience, patience, and the remarkable beauty found in the mundane. Now, as you prepare to guide them onward, you sense that they're ready for whatever comes next, emboldened by the insights they've gained from Persephone. The journey continues, and with every step, they grow closer to embracing the ordinary, transforming what was once seen as a burden into a pathway for growth. As you lead the souls away from Persephone's garden, there's a newfound lightness in their steps. They have absorbed the wisdom of the queen of the underworld and are beginning to recognize the beauty in the ordinary, even in the depths of Hades. The next destination on this winding journey is a place that often sparks curiosity, fear, and a hint of intrigue, the lair of Cerberus, the three-headed guardian of the underworld. The glamorous illusion surrounding Cerberus is that of a fearsome beast, an imposing figure that terrifies even the bravest of souls, ready to pounce on any who dare trespass. However, the shocking reality is that Cerberus, much like the souls you guide, is bound by his own monotonous existence, a creature relegated to the same duty day in and day out, often longing for a little excitement in his life. As you approach the entrance to Cerberus' domain, the air grows heavy with tension, and you can see the apprehension brewing among the souls behind you. Fear not, you reassure them with a gentle chuckle. Cerberus isn't just a terrifying dog, he's a guardian with a boring job. He's not out to get you, he's just, well, doing his job. As you enter the lair, the dim light reflects off the cold stone walls and you can hear the faint growls of the three-headed guardian. Each head has its own unique personality. One is grumpy, another curious, and the third seems perpetually distracted. Despite the menacing reputation, you know that Cerberus' existence is far from thrilling. He spends his days guarding the gates of the underworld, ensuring that no souls slip out and that the living don't wander in. It's a job that lacks variety and excitement, and you can sense that deep down, Cerberus might just be a little bored. Welcome to Cerberus' lair, you announce, gesturing toward the gigantic canine. You'll find that he's not nearly as fearsome as the stories depict. In fact, he's more like a tired employee waiting for his coffee break. The soul's initial fears begin to wane as they observe the three-headed creature sprawled out lazily on the ground, his heads resting on each other in a tangle of fur. As you approach, you introduce the souls to Cerberus, who lifts his head lazily, blinking at the newcomers with an expression that's more bored than hostile. "Hey, buddy," you say playfully, "mind if we have a chat?" The heads perk up slightly, and you can see a flicker of interest in their eyes, as if they're eager for some form of entertainment. You explain to the souls that Cerberus' duties are not glamorous, they're repetitive and often thankless. He guards the gates, day in and day out, keeping souls in and watching for intruders, you summarize. But in all honesty, it's not the most exciting job. Just like many of us, he's stuck in a routine. You encourage the souls to engage with Cerberus and they hesitantly approach him, curiosity replacing their initial fears. One brave soul kneels down, slowly reaching out a hand. "Hey there, Cerberus," they say softly. "What do you do for fun?" The grumpy head stares blankly for a moment before responding with a low growl, clearly unimpressed by the question. The curious head, however, leans closer, intrigued by the interaction. As more souls gather around, they start to share stories of their lives and Cerberus' demeanor begins to shift. He seems to respond to their energy, his head's perking up, and you can almost imagine him nodding along as they recount tales of ordinary moments, family gatherings, favorite meals, and the small joys of daily life. You realize that, much like the souls, Cerberus yearns for connection and engagement, a break from the monotony of his guarding duties. As the conversation flows, you can see the souls warming to the idea that Cerberus isn't just a terrifying beast but a creature bound by circumstance, much like themselves. They begin to empathize with him, recognizing the similarities between their lives and the life of a three-headed dog. You interject, just like you all found meaning in your mundane tasks. I think Cerberus can too. With newfound courage, one soul offers Cerberus a toy, a simple ball made of ethereal energy. The grumpy head snorts dismissively, but the curious head snatches it up, playing with it for a moment before tossing it to the third head, who catches it with surprising agility. Laughter erupts among the souls as they watch the spectacle unfold, and for the first time, Cerberus appears to enjoy himself, romp and play, replacing the usual tension and monotony. You watch as the atmosphere shifts and the connection between the souls and Cerberus deepens. In this moment, they realize that even in a world that can feel cold and uninviting, connection and understanding can bridge gaps. It's a reminder that everyone, even a three-headed dog, seeks companionship and the joy of shared experiences. As you prepare to leave Cerberus' lair, you feel a sense of fulfillment wash over you. The souls have transformed their fear into understanding, recognizing that the mundane tasks of guardianship mirror their own struggles with ordinary existence. Cerberus, now slightly more animated, gives a low bark of farewell, as if to say thank you for the company. As you move onward, you sense that the souls are beginning to embrace the idea that even within the confines of their existence, there is room for laughter, connection, and growth. They carry, with them, the lessons learned from Cerberus, a reminder that life, whether in the underworld or above it, can be enriched by the bonds we form and the moments we share. With renewed purpose, you guide them deeper into the underworld, eager to explore the next chapter of their journey, knowing that every step they take leads them closer to understanding the extraordinary nature of the ordinary. Having left the lair of Cerberus behind, you sense a palpable shift in the energy of the group. The souls walk with newfound confidence, buoyed by their encounters with Persephone and Cerberus. They have begun to appreciate the depth of their experiences, finding beauty in the ordinary, and now you're ready to guide them into the next part of their journey, the infamous Tantalus, who resides in a realm of eternal yearning. The glamorous illusion surrounding Tantalus is that he is a figure of great tragedy, punished by the gods in a manner that evokes sympathy. However, the shocking reality is that his eternal plight encapsulates profound irony and is steeped in the mundane. Tantalus is not just in a state of perpetual disappointment, he is caught in an endless cycle of frustration that serves as a reminder of what it means to be human, constantly desiring what is just out of reach. As you approach Tantalus' domain, the atmosphere grows tense. The landscape is stark, dominated by a pool of shimmering water and a tree laden with fruit, both tantalizingly close yet utterly unattainable. Tantalus stands knee-deep in the water, reaching for the fruit above, but every time he stretches out his hand, the branches recede, just out of reach. It's a cruel twist of fate that feels achingly familiar. "Welcome to the realm of Tantalus," you announce, gesturing widely to the scene that unfolds before you. Here he is eternally reminded of what he cannot have. The souls gaze at the sight, a mix of pity and disbelief washing over them. Tantalus, with his desperate attempts to grasp the fruit and drink the water, becomes a symbol of unfulfilled desires and relentless yearning. As you draw closer, you call out to Tantalus. He looks up with a weary expression, the weight of his punishment evident in his eyes. Another day, another fruitless attempt, he sighs, his voice laced with an eternal longing. You can almost hear the resignation in his tone, and you realize that his struggle is not just physical but deeply emotional. You take a moment to explain Tantalus' story to the souls. He was once a favored mortal receiving divine blessings, but he committed grave offenses against the gods. Now he is punished with this unquenchable thirst and hunger, eternally within reach but never able to satisfy his desires. The souls listen intently, absorbing the weight of his story. One brave soul steps forward and speaks to Tantalus. "What do you feel when you reach for the fruit?" they ask, their voice gentle but curious. Tantalus pauses, contemplating the question before responding. "I feel hope. Hope and despair each time I reach. I believe that this time will be different," he admits, his gaze turning to the vibrant, glowing fruit that seems to mock him. As the souls witness this interaction, a sense of empathy emerges. They begin to recognize their own Tantalus-like moments in life, those times when desires felt just beyond their grasp. They start sharing stories of their yearnings, dreams unmet, ambitions set aside, and relationships that slipped away. In this very act of sharing, they begin to unearth the emotional weight of their own experiences, revealing the struggle of desire that defines the human condition. Tantalus listens attentively as they share their stories, nodding in understanding. You see, he says after a moment. The pain of yearning can become overwhelming, but it's also a reminder of what it means to be alive. To want is to experience the fullness of existence. His words resonate deeply, and the souls begin to see the value in their own desires, even when they seem unattainable. Maybe your unfulfilled dreams can teach you something, you suggest gently. Perhaps they can guide you toward new paths or help you understand what truly matters to you. The group ponders this revelation, their initial pity for Tantalus shifting toward a sense of connection. They no longer see him solely as a tragic figure, but as a fellow traveler who understands their struggles and aspirations. Encouraged by the dialogue, Tantalus shares a small piece of wisdom. It's the struggle that shapes us, he explains. Even in suffering, there exists a chance for growth. I may never reach the fruit, but I have learned to appreciate the journey, the yearning itself. As the souls absorb his words, a transformative moment unfolds. They begin to realize that while they may not achieve every desire or goal, it's the quest itself that reveals the richness of life. The yearning, like Tantalus' endless attempts, becomes a part of their narrative, a chapter filled with lessons, memories, and the strength to continue seeking out what truly matters. Time passes in the realm of Tantalus, and as the souls gather their reflections, you can feel a sense of peace settling over them. They've moved beyond mere sympathy for Tantalus and embraced the complexity of their shared human experience, the beauty of desire, the pain of frustration, and the strength found in resilience. As you prepare to leave Tantalus behind, he offers a subtle nod of gratitude, a silent acknowledgement that the exchange has brought him a moment of connection. The souls leave his domain with a deeper understanding, ready to embrace their own journeys, desires and struggles. With renewed purpose, you guide them onward, knowing that each step through the underworld is shaping them into more empathetic, resilient beings. The path ahead may be filled with challenges, but they are now equipped with the knowledge that even the most ordinary moments can be woven into the fabric of extraordinary robes. As you guide the souls away from Tantalus's realm, their reflections linger in the air like whispers of hope. They carry with them the lessons learned from a figure who embodies the bittersweet nature of desire. With each step, they seem more connected not only to each other, but to the universal truths of existence. The next stop on this journey leads you to a rather curious aspect of the underworld, the eternal torment of Sisyphus. The glamorous illusion surrounding Sisyphus is that of a tragic hero, known for his endless struggle against a boulder, a story widely celebrated yet often romanticized. However, the shocking reality is that his punishment, while visually striking, embodies a life filled with absurdity and the weight of monotony. Sisyphus is not just pushing a rock, he's engaged in the most repetitive act imaginable, a Sisyphean task that mirrors the pettiness of existence itself. As you arrive at Sisyphus's domain, you see him hard at work, straining against a massive boulder, his muscles taut with effort. The sight is both humorous and heartbreaking. Sisyphus pushes with all his might, only to watch the boulder roll back down the hill each time he nearly reaches the summit. The souls gasp at the sheer futility of his endeavor. "Welcome to Sisyphus' domain," you announce, gesturing to the scene before you. Here, he's not just punished, he's learning to navigate the absurdity of it all. The souls look at you quizzically, unsure how a punishment so seemingly pointless can hold any lesson. You explain Sisyphus' backstory, detailing how he was a clever mortal who outsmarted the gods, only to be punished by being forced to push a boulder up a hill for eternity. But here's the kicker, you add, his punishment isn't just about the labor, it's about understanding the nature of struggle itself. As Sisyphus catches sight of your group, he pauses, wiping the sweat from his brow. "Ah, more souls to witness my tireless toil," he calls out, his voice a mix of sarcasm and wariness. You encourage the souls to engage with him, to ask questions about his seemingly endless labor. One brave soul steps forward. "How do you cope with such a futile task?" they inquire, genuinely curious. Sisyphus leans against the boulder, a wry smile creeping across his face. "Ah, that's the secret. I've learned to find meaning in the struggle itself. It's the journey, not the destination, that shapes who I am," he replies with an unexpected lightness. You watch as the souls process his words, the realization dawning on them that life, much like Sisyphus' task, can often feel like an uphill battle. They share their own stories of struggles that seemed never-ending, moments when they felt trapped in the monotony of daily life or the burdens of their choices. Sisyphus chuckles, his laughter echoing across the rocky landscape. "Embrace it. There's a certain joy in the routine," he encourages. "Every time I push this boulder, I have a choice, to despair or to revel in the effort. I choose to find humor in my plight." His perspective is infectious, and soon the souls begin to share their own humorous takes on their experiences, transforming their burdens into stories of resilience. Remember, you add, the essence of Sisyphus' punishment isn't merely the frustration of his task, it's the lesson that we all have a choice in how we respond to our circumstances. The souls nod, their expressions shifting as they begin to see the absurdity of their own challenges in a new light. As Sisyphus resumes his work, the souls gather around, watching him with a mix of admiration and amusement. They see not just a man punished, but a figure who has chosen to live fully, even within the confines of his fate. You know, he says as he pushes the boulder again, this may be my punishment, but it's also my opportunity. Each day I get to push this rock, I choose to make it count. I found ways to make it my own. Inspired, the souls begin to share their own coping strategies. One soul recounts how they found joy in gardening, turning tedious weeding into a meditative practice. Another shares a memory of finding laughter amid life's chaos during a family gathering. The bonds between them strengthen as they exchange tales of resilience, and you can see the laughter and camaraderie blooming among them. Sisyphus throws back his head and laughs heartily. That's it. You've grasped the essence of it. A life is about the way we embrace our struggles and find meaning in the absurdity. I may push this boulder forever, but it's my choice to find joy in the effort. As the interaction unfolds, you notice the transformation in the group. They are no longer weighed down by despair, they're connecting with Sisyphus' struggle in a way that ignites their own spirits. The once dreaded notion of monotony has become an empowering lesson on choice and perspective. As you prepare to leave Sisyphus' domain, he offers a final piece of wisdom. Remember, my friends, the true punishment lies not in the task but in the refusal to find purpose within it. Each struggle can lead to insights that enrich your soul. With that, you lead the souls onward, their hearts lighter and their minds buzzing with new perspectives. They've learned from a figure who embodies the very definition of persistence and resilience, and they are more than ready to embrace the next chapter of their journey through the underworld. Together, you continue deeper into Hades, equipped with the understanding that even in life's most mundane and arduous tasks there lies the potential for growth, joy, and a sense of community that can transform their experience. As you guide the souls away from the domain of Sisyphus, a collective sense of empowerment fills the air. The lessons learned from the eternal struggle against the boulder resonate deeply within them. They have begun to embrace the absurdity of existence and recognize their power to shape their narratives. The next stop on this winding journey takes you to an area that holds significant weight in the underworld, the river Styx, a boundary that separates the living from the dead, both feared and revered. The glamorous illusion surrounding the Styx is that of a dark and forbidding river, said to guard the secrets of the afterlife and transport souls across its turbulent waters. However, the shocking reality is that the Styx is less about dramatic crossings and more about the mundane realities of travel in the underworld. It's a place where souls confront their past, reflect on their lives, and navigate the complexities of their existence. As you approach the banks of the Styx, the air grows thick with anticipation. The river flows with a dark, murky current, its surface shimmering slightly under the dim light of the underworld. You can see Charon waiting nearby, his boat ready to ferry souls across, but you know from experience that this crossing is about more than just a physical journey. It's a metaphor for the transition from life to death and the confrontation of one's past. "Welcome to the river Styx," you announce, gesturing toward the water. Here, souls embark on a journey that isn't just about crossing a river, it's a passage through their memories and choices. The souls stand at the riverbank, gazing into the depths, contemplating what lies ahead. As you explain the significance of the Styx, you share that many souls find themselves reflecting on their past lives as they prepare to cross. The river serves as a mirror, revealing the essence of their journey. It's here that you can confront your regrets, your triumphs, and everything in between, you emphasize. This crossing is not merely a ferry ride, it's an opportunity for introspection. You encourage the souls to take a moment to reflect on their lives. What choices led them to this point? What memories linger in their hearts? As they stand by the banks of the river, you can see them, lost in contemplation, some with furrowed brows, others with wistful smiles. It's a powerful moment of time to confront the tapestry of their existence. One soul tentatively steps forward, gazing into the water. "I never took the time to appreciate my life while I was living it," they admit softly. "Now, standing here, I realize how much I took for granted." The others nod in agreement, recognizing their own blind spots. "You're not alone in that feeling," you say gently. "Many live without truly engaging with their experiences. The Styx is a chance to honor your journey, to understand the lessons learned along the way. You can see the weight of regret in their expressions, but it's tempered by the realization that this moment holds the potential for healing. As they prepare to board Charon's boat, you remind them that this crossing isn't just a goodbye, it's a transition into a new understanding of their lives. The souls begin to discuss their feelings openly, sharing stories of love, loss, and the everyday moments that defined them. The air grows heavier as they share both the burdens of their choices and the joy of their connections with others. When it's their turn to board the boat, Charon remains as grumpy as ever, but you sense a shift in his demeanor as he listens to their conversations. "Aren't you all a lively bunch?" he mutters, half amused. The souls smile, knowing that even the stern ferryman has a role to play in their journey, bridging the gap between the living and the dead. As the boat glides across the river, the dim light reflects off the water, creating a surreal atmosphere. The souls sit in contemplative silence, gazing into the depths of the Styx, each one wrestling with their thoughts. You encourage them to continue their reflections, reminding them that the journey they're on is about growth and understanding. Suddenly, the boat lurches slightly, and one soul gasps, "What if I didn't make peace with my past? What if I still have regrets?" You turn to them, offering a reassuring smile. The beauty of this journey is that it doesn't end here. You have the power to learn from your past and transform it into something meaningful. Charon interrupts, rolling his eyes but with a hint of compassion. "You can't change what's done, but you can choose how you move forward. Take it from me, life keeps going, even here." As they reach the opposite bank, the souls disembark, feeling lighter after the reflective journey across the Styx. They've come to understand that while their pasts may linger in their memories, they have the power to shape their futures. The struggles and regrets they encountered in reflection have become stepping stones toward personal growth. As you lead them further into the underworld, you feel a sense of pride in the progress they've made. They're beginning to embrace their stories, no longer shying away from the uncomfortable truths of their pasts, but rather confronting them with courage and resilience. With each step, they collectively move toward understanding, the weight of their experiences transforming into a source of strength. You sense that they are ready to explore the next chapter of their journey, where lessons from the past intertwine with the promise of new beginnings. As you guide the souls away from the banks of the Styx, a sense of clarity hangs in the air. The reflections sparked by their crossing have ignited a newfound awareness, and now they are prepared to explore the next realm of the underworld, the Elysian Fields. This place, often touted as a paradise for the virtuous, carries with it both glamorous illusions and surprising realities. The glamorous illusion surrounding the Elysian Fields is that of a radiant utopia, a serene landscape where souls frolic in eternal bliss, free from pain and suffering. However, the shocking reality is that even this idyllic setting has its own complexities and mundane routines, which can sometimes leave souls feeling unfulfilled, despite the beauty surrounding them. As you approach the Elysian Fields, the atmosphere shifts dramatically. The land opens up to reveal sprawling meadows adorned with vibrant flowers, the sun peeking through fluffy white clouds. It's a sight that seems to embody peace itself, and the souls gaze in awe at the picturesque panorama. Yet, you know that not all is as it seems. "Welcome to the Elysian Fields," you announce, sweeping your arm to encompass the beauty before you. "This is a place of rest for those who have led virtuous lives, but remember, even paradise can have its drawbacks." The souls peer around, taking in the lush environment, feeling a mix of wonder and anticipation. As you lead them deeper into the fields, you explain that while the soul's time in Elysium is meant to be one of joy, it can also become monotonous. "You see," you continue, "even in a place of beauty, souls can struggle to find purpose. The routine can become stale. You might think paradise is free of worries, but it can lead to a sense of emptiness if one isn't careful." You pause to observe the souls as they meander through the fields, their initial excitement turning into contemplation. The idyllic scenery is indeed enchanting, with laughter and music echoing in the distance. However, you notice that some souls linger, gazing at the horizon with an expression of longing, as though they are searching for something beyond the beauty that envelops them. One soul speaks up, their voice tentative. "It's beautiful here, but is this all there is? I feel like I should be doing something more." Their words resonate with others, and you can see the flickers of doubt in their eyes. "What about our dreams? What if we didn't achieve everything we wanted?" You nod, encouraging further reflection. "Exactly. Even in the Elysian Fields, it's easy to fall into a cycle of complacency. You may have led a virtuous life, but that doesn't mean your journey is over. This paradise is a reward, but it's also a chance to explore what fulfillment truly means to you." As you walk through the fields, you notice a group of souls clustered together, discussing their lives back on Earth. One soul shares a story about a passion for music they never pursued while alive, and their voice carries a hint of regret. "I always dreamed of writing songs, but I kept putting it off," they confess. "Now I'm here and I feel like I've missed my chance." You gently intervene, reminding them that even in this tranquil realm, there's still room for creativity and exploration. Just because you're in the Elysian fields doesn't mean you can't engage with your passions. Why not take this opportunity to express yourself? Write those songs you always dreamed of creating. The group listens, pondering the idea. One soul pipes up, "I've always wanted to paint. Maybe I can do that here." Another adds, "What about storytelling? I could weave the tales and never shared." As they begin to envision new possibilities, a sense of excitement spreads through the group. They realize that even in paradise, they don't have to be stagnant. They can embrace their creativity, pursue their passions, and engage with one another in meaningful ways. This revelation transforms the Elysian fields from a mere resting place into a vibrant canvas for exploration. You watch as some souls begin to gather materials, flowers, pigments, and instruments to express their creativity and share their talents. Laughter and music soon fill the air, blending with the beauty of the surroundings and turning the once quiet meadows into a lively festival of artistic expression. As the group immerses themselves in their newfound purpose, you reflect on the lessons learned. The Elysian fields may be a reward for virtuous lives, but it's also a reminder that life, whether above or below, continues to be a journey of growth, exploration, and fulfillment. Your heart swells with pride as you see the souls come alive with inspiration. They've transformed their understanding of paradise, recognizing that even in the most beautiful settings, it's essential to remain engaged and pursue their passions, whatever those may be. As the sun begins to dip below the horizon, casting a warm glow across the fields, you lead the group onward, knowing they've taken significant strides toward embracing the ordinary in extraordinary ways. The Elysian fields have become a place of renewal, creativity, and connection, and embodiment of everything they've learned on their journey thus far. With each step forward, they are more prepared to explore the next chapter of their existence, armed with the knowledge that fulfillment lies in engagement, creativity, and the pursuit of dreams, even in the afterlife. With the vibrant energy of the Elysian fields buzzing around you, you feel a renewed sense of purpose as you guide the souls onward. They have embraced the lessons of creativity and connection, transforming their understanding of paradise into a space filled with potential. The next destination on this journey takes you to the realm governed by the fates, the three women who weave the threads of destiny for every soul that exists. The glamorous illusion surrounding the fates is that they are all-powerful beings, cloaked in mystery and control, presiding over the fates of mortals with an iron grip. However, the shocking reality is that their existence is marked by mundane tasks, and they are just as bound to their duties as the souls they govern. Their lives are not filled with grand decisions, but rather the meticulous craft of weaving, cutting, and tying the strings of fate. As you approach the domain of the fates, you can see them diligently at work in a dimly lit workshop filled with looms and spools of thread. The air is thick with the scent of old fabric, and soft clattering sounds resonate as they weave intricate patterns. You explain to the souls that this is where their destinies are crafted, but the process is not as dramatic as one might imagine. "Welcome to the realm of the fates," you announce. "Here they weave the threads that dictate the course of our lives. But don't be fooled, this is a place of routine and labor, where the fates perform their tasks day in and day out." The souls peer into the workshop, curiosity replacing any initial trepidation. You describe each of the fates: Clotho, who spins the thread of life; Lachesis, who measures its length; and Atropos, who cuts the thread at its end. They are not just powerful figures, they are artisans of fate, bound to the rhythms of their craft, you explain. Their work can often feel repetitive, just like our lives. One soul steps forward, intrigued by the weaving process. "But what if we want to change our fate? Can we?" they ask. You nod thoughtfully, recognizing the importance of this question. That's the beauty of life and the afterlife. While the fates weave our destinies, it's up to us to determine how we engage with them. Each thread they weave represents the potential of our choices. As you speak, Clotho looks up from her spinning, a glimmer of interest in her eyes. She gestures for the souls to come closer, inviting them to observe her work. Each thread is unique, just like every life, she explains. But remember, it's the actions you take within the pattern that define your journey. The souls gather around, captivated by the fates' artistry. Lachesis holds up a length of thread, showcasing the way it intertwines with others. This is where your choices intersect, she explains. Every decision creates new paths, new colors in your life's tapestry. Tension begins to melt as the souls engage with the fates. They ask questions about their own experiences and the choices that shaped their lives. What if I made mistakes? What if I feel stuck? One soul queries, their voice filled with uncertainty. Metropolis, who stands a little apart, listens intently. Mistakes are part of the weaving, she replies, her voice calm and steady. Every thread has its flaws, but those imperfections add depth and character to the fabric. It's how you choose to embrace them that matters. As the fates share their wisdom, the souls begin to reflect on their own lives and choices. They acknowledge the mistakes they've made, the paths they didn't take, and the opportunities they let slip away. But instead of despair, a sense of empowerment begins to bloom. I can shape my own destiny. One soul exclaims, a spark of realization igniting their spirit. You encourage them to think of ways they can reclaim their stories. It's never too late to weave new threads into your life's tapestry. You remind them. You have the power to make choices that resonate with your true self and embrace the beautiful complexity of your journey. With the fates providing guidance, the souls start to explore their desires, aspirations, and the lessons learned from their pasts. They begin to share their hopes and ambitions, recognizing that while the fates may set the foundation, it's their actions that will ultimately shape their destinies. As they engage with the fates, the atmosphere in the workshop transforms from one of mere observation to a vibrant exchange of ideas and inspiration. The fates seem to thrive on this newfound energy, and their work becomes infused with purpose. Clotha spends her thread with enthusiasm, latches his measures with precision, and Atropos stands ready to cut, but with a newfound understanding that her role is not just about endings, it's about allowing for new beginnings. The souls witness the intricate dance of fate unfold before them, and it deepens their understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. As you prepare to leave the realm of the fates, you encourage the souls to take the lessons learned with them. Remember, even though the fates weave the patterns, it's you who choose how to engage with them. Your choices are what breathe life into your story. The souls, empowered by their experiences, express their gratitude to the fates, who nod approvingly, their work enriched by the exchange. As you guide the group onward, you sense that they are emerging from this encounter with a deeper understanding of their agency and the beauty of life's complexities. With each step, they are more equipped to embrace their destinies, armed with the knowledge that while the threads of fate may be woven, it's their choices that will create a vibrant tapestry of existence. The journey through the underworld continues, filled with promising lessons and the prospect of new beginnings. As you lead the souls away from the realm of the fates, their spirits are high, buoyed by the revelations they've gleaned about the power of choice and agency in their lives. The lessons of weaving their destinies resonate in their hearts, and they are eager to explore the next chapter of their journey through the underworld. This leg of the journey takes you to a place that many souls have heard of but few understand fully, the realm of the forgotten, known as the Asphodel Meadows. The glamorous illusion surrounding the Asphodel Meadows is that it is a serene and peaceful resting place, a gentle expanse where souls can wander freely and reflect on their lives. However, the shocking reality is that many souls find themselves trapped in a perpetual state of limbo, disconnected from the vibrant experiences that life offers, often lost in their own thoughts and memories. As you approach the Asphodel Meadows, the landscape unfolds into a vast, muted expanse, dotted with pale flowers that sway softly in an unfelt breeze. The air is heavy with a bittersweet nostalgia, and you can see souls meandering aimlessly, some lost in thought while others gather in small clusters, reminiscing about lives left behind. "Welcome to the Asphodel Meadows," you announce, gesturing to the sprawling fields. But don't let the beauty fool you. This place can be a double-edged sword, a sanctuary or a trap, depending on how one engages with their memories. The souls look around, taking in the stark yet tranquil beauty of the meadows. "What do you mean by a trap?" one soul asks, their curiosity piqued. You explain, here, many souls wander without purpose, trapped in reminiscence or regret. This limbo can feel comforting, but it can also lead to stagnation. It's important to find a balance between honoring your memories and embracing the opportunity to move forward. You encourage them to observe the souls in the meadows. Some are locked in conversations, sharing fond memories and laughter, while others sit in silence, seemingly disconnected from everything around them. It's a poignant reminder that while memories are a part of one's identity, they can also anchor a soul to the past if not approached with mindfulness. As the group walks through the meadows, they begin to engage with the other souls, sharing their own stories and experiences. Notice that the souls are starting to connect with each other, creating bonds over shared memories and experiences. One soul reminisces about a favorite family meal, sparking laughter and conversation among the others. "See," you say, smiling at their interactions. This is the power of connection. While it's essential to remember our pasts, it's equally important to engage with one another and create new memories. As they converse, you can feel a shift in the atmosphere. Souls who were once lost in their thoughts begin to participate, sharing laughter and stories. One soul, who had been sitting quietly, stands up and shares their own tale of joy, suddenly becoming the center of attention. "I remember the time my friends and I went on a road trip," they recount, their eyes shining with enthusiasm. "We got lost but ended up finding this beautiful hidden waterfall. It was one of the best days of my life." Their story sparks a ripple of memories among the group, prompting others to share their own adventures and cherished moments. The meadows come alive with laughter, and you can see the joy of connection weaving through the air, a reminder that even in the afterlife, camaraderie and shared experiences can bring vitality to existence. As you guide them deeper into the meadows, you come across a solitary soul sitting quietly, staring blankly into the distance. You approach gently. "What's on your mind?" you ask, sensing the weight of their thoughts. "I feel stuck," they reply, their voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know how to move on from the life I left behind. Everything here feels like a reminder of what I've lost." You nod empathetically, understanding the complexities of loss. "It's okay to feel that way," you reassure them. Memories can be both beautiful and painful. But remember, the Asphodel Meadows offer a chance for reflection, not just regret. It's a space to acknowledge what has shaped you while also recognizing that life continues even here. Encouraged by your words, the soul looks around at the others, laughing and sharing stories. "Maybe I could try to engage more," they consider aloud. "It just feels hard to let go." "That's a natural feeling," you reply. But embracing connection can be a powerful step in moving forward. You don't have to forget your past, you can integrate it into your present in a way that honors your journey. With newfound resolve, the soul begins to engage with the group, cautiously sharing their own story and finding connection in the laughter and camaraderie surrounding them. As they do, you can see the light returning to their eyes, the heaviness lifting as they begin to weave their own narrative into the tapestry of the meadows. As the souls gather together, sharing memories and creating new bonds, you feel a sense of fulfillment wash over you. They have transformed the Asphodel Meadows from a landscape of stagnation into a vibrant space of connection and growth. Together, they have learned that even in moments of reflection, there is power in sharing experiences and supporting one another. With the sun setting in the distance, casting a warm glow over the fields, you lead the souls onward with a gentle reminder. Life, in all its forms, is about connection and growth. Embrace the memories, but don't forget to step forward into the experiences that await you. As you continue down the path of the underworld, you sense that the souls are more connected than ever, ready to embrace the next chapter of their journey, empowered by the lessons learned among the Asphodel Meadows. Leaving the Asphodel Meadows behind, a renewed sense of purpose ripples through the group of souls. They have come to understand that even in a place of reflection, connection and growth are vital. Their laughter and stories still echo in the air, and you can feel their spirits lifted as you prepare to guide them to the final destination of your journey through the underworld, the realm of rebirth and transformation. The glamorous illusion surrounding this realm is that it is a land of glorious reunions and new beginnings, where souls are reborn into new lives filled with promise and opportunity. However, the shocking reality is that this process is complex and often fraught with uncertainty. Rebirth is not merely a celebration, it requires introspection, acceptance, and the courage to embrace change. As you approach the realm of transformation, the landscape shifts once again. The air is thick with the scent of blooming flowers, and vibrant colors abound, creating a striking contrast to the muted hues of the Asphodel Meadows. It feels alive, pulsating with energy and potential. You can see souls gathered in small groups, engaged in deep conversations about their past lives and what lies ahead. "Welcome to the realm of rebirth," you announce, gesturing to the lively scene before you. Here, souls come to reflect on their past experiences and prepare for their next journey. Remember, this is not just an easy transition. It's a time of deep introspection. The souls gaze across the expanse, their eyes wide with curiosity. "What do we need to do here?" one asks, eager to understand the process. "This realm offers a chance to confront your past and consider how it has shaped you," you explain. "It's not enough to simply move on. You must embrace the lessons learned and decide what you want to carry forward into your next life." As the group begins to explore the area, you encourage them to participate in discussions about their experiences. You notice them forming circles, sharing their stories and reflecting on their journeys. Some souls express excitement for the future, while others voice their fears and uncertainties about what lies ahead. You approach a small gathering where a soul hesitates to speak. In scared, they admit, looking downcast. What if I make the same mistakes again? What if I don't learn anything? You nod, your expression gentle and understanding. That fear is natural. Change can be daunting, but it's also a chance for growth. Every experience, including mistakes, has valuable lessons. The key is to reflect on those lessons and use them to guide your next steps. The soul looks up, encouraged by your words. I guess if I never thought about it that way, they reply, a glimmer of hope beginning to shine in their eyes. You encourage the group to share their fears and aspirations openly. This is a safe space to explore what you want to take with you into your next life. Embrace the lessons learned from your past, but don't let fear hold you back from exploring new avenues. As they engage with one another, the conversations deepen. One soul shares how their fear of failure held them back in life, and how they want to embrace courage in their next journey. Another reflects on the importance of love and connection, expressing a desire to foster relationships that nurture rather than hinder. The energy in the realm begins to shift as the souls share their insights. They realize that rebirth is not just about starting over, it's about transforming their understanding of themselves and the world. The lessons learned in the underworld become stepping stones, guiding them toward a brighter future. As the sun sets in a blaze of colors, illuminating the realm in warm hues, you remind them of the beauty of transformation. Embrace this moment. Every ending is a beginning. You have the power to shape your next life based on what you've learned here. The souls nod in unison, their faces reflecting newfound determination. They begin to discuss how they might carry forward the lessons of connection, courage, and creativity into their next lives. They share dreams of adventure, love, and personal fulfillment, weaving together a tapestry of aspirations that honors their past while looking forward to new beginnings. You watch as the group becomes animated, their laughter and excitement filling the air. They have embraced the notion that rebirth is not a loss of self, but an opportunity to expand and grow. With each shared story, they are forging a collective understanding of the journey ahead. As the night blankets the realm, you gather the souls together one last time. Remember, as you prepare for this next chapter, you carry the essence of everything you've experienced. You are not defined by your past. Instead, you are shaped by the lessons you've learned and the connections you've forged. With hearts open, the souls take a moment to reflect on their journey through the underworld. They've transitioned from fear to acceptance, from reflection to anticipation. Together, they are ready to embark on a new adventure, empowered by the experiences that have shaped them. As you prepare to lead them toward the final gateway of rebirth, you feel a sense of pride and fulfillment. Each soul is now equipped with the tools to navigate their next life, enriched by the wisdom gained during this journey. With a gentle wave, you guide them toward the light that beckons on the horizon, knowing that they are stepping into a world of endless possibilities, ready to embrace whatever comes next. The underworld may have been a place of reflection, but it has also been a catalyst for transformation, and you sense that the journey is far from over.